Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the terrifying world of A Quiet Place to talk about every known weakness the aliens, aka Death Angels, have. These creatures might seem nearly indestructible, but across the films we've seen the survivors exploit several of their weaknesses. Let's break it all down. First off, the franchise has spanned over a year in its timeline, with 3 films so far.
Save everyone we can.
I have a plan.
The latest, A Quiet Place Day 1, released in June 2024, explores the origins of these terrifying creatures. While the human characters have changed, the Death Angels have remained the same, giving us a deeper understanding of their motives and vulnerabilities. The first major weakness we've seen the survivors exploit is high-frequency sounds. The Death Angels have incredibly amplified hearing, which allows them to track victims from far away, but this strength is also their biggest weakness. High-pitched sounds can incapacitate them, causing extreme pain and leaving them vulnerable to attack. In both A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2, the survivors use the tuning from cochlear implant processors to ward off the creatures. The feedback these devices emit causes the aliens to slow down and freak out, unable to bear the pain. When the sound is amplified using a microphone, the Death Angels are forced to expose their fleshy heads in their struggle, making them easy targets. Interestingly, loud noises alone attract the Death Angels but don't necessarily harm them. It's specifically the high-frequency sounds that cause them pain. This is why in A Quiet Place Day 1, set in busy New York City, we see the creatures struggle to differentiate sounds in a loud environment, weakening their honing skills. This contrasts with the quieter settings of the first 2 films, where every random sound seems amplified and dangerous. Survivors have used sudden, loud noises as both distractions and defenses. For instance, running water has been a key element. The characters use waterfalls or intense rainfall to mask their conversations from the creatures. Even in these noisy environments, they sometimes resort to using sign language for extra protection. The sound of running water can obscure their presence, providing a clever defense against the blind Death Angels. Speaking of water, the Death Angels have another significant weakness. They can't swim. Their heavy armor causes them to drown quickly. It's likely that their home planet didn't have water, so they haven't adapted to it. However, they're not afraid of water and will enter it if prey is present, like the creature that submerges itself in the flooded basement in the first film. In A Quiet Place 2, we see a small colony of survivors living relatively normally on an island. They explain that the government knew the creatures couldn't swim and tried to evacuate people to islands, though only a few made it. This strategy proves effective until a Death Angel sneaks onto a boat and drifts to the island. A Quiet Place Day 1 also explores this watery weakness. The military, knowing the aliens can't swim, blows up the bridges to and from Manhattan, trapping the creatures on the island. This tactic slows the alien invasion, giving survivors a fighting chance. Lastly, let's talk about the anatomy of the Death Angels. While their bodies are protected by thick armor, their heads are vulnerable. The plates on their heads open and close to help them hear better. When these parts are exposed, they become susceptible to attacks. The survivors have used high-frequency sounds to force the aliens to expose their heads. Once their defenses are down, the humans can shoot or stab them in the head. This strategy is critical because, with their armor intact, the creatures are nearly impossible to kill. The design of the Death Angels is inspired by various animals, including the long arms of a gorilla and the sinewy appearance of a bat. Like bats, they can't see well and rely on their acute sense of hearing. This lack of vision can be a disadvantage in certain situations. For instance, in loud environments, the creatures can't locate their prey as effectively. In the films, there are several scenes where characters manage to sneak up on the aliens during loud distractions. They also use stillness and silence to evade detection. This visual impairment is both a strength and a weakness for the creatures. In dark situations, they're not hindered by the lack of light, but their victims can use noise to hide. Their size can also be a limitation. The aliens can't fit into smaller spaces, which the survivors use to their advantage. In A Quiet Place 2, the bunker becomes a safe haven because the creatures can't enter. So there you have it. Despite their terrifying appearance and formidable strengths, The Death Angels have several exploitable weaknesses. High-frequency sounds, their inability to swim, and their vulnerable anatomy are key points the survivors use to stay alive. The films have cleverly shown us how even the most indestructible-seeming monsters have their Achilles heels. With A Quiet Place Day 1 leaving the door open for a sequel, we can expect even more exploration of these creatures' lore and weaknesses. The Death Angels might be iconic modern monsters, but understanding their vulnerabilities is what keeps our favorite characters, and us, hooked to this thrilling franchise. What do you all think? Which weakness do you find most interesting? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more such content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.